What can Tropical Smoothie Cafe offer you?
Round 2 of Sports Talk up next with your hosts Phil Kornblut, Will Pelagic, and the Professor Tom Hayes. Don't leave us hanging. Join the show, 800-956-7266.
Okay, we're back. Sports Talk South Carolina Radio Network here on opening day of 2018. Phil Kornblut, Will Pelagic at your service. We'll get back to the recruiting report in just a couple of minutes. We want to welcome into Sports Talk the Hall of Fame baseball coach, formerly of Clemson, now America's coach. America's coach, Jack Leggett. How you doing, sir?
Good, so good. Good to talk to you. Got a good ring to it, I guess.
I like that. America's coach. I tell you, I was very pleased and happy for you when I saw the release that you've been named by the American Baseball Coaches, USA Baseball, to coach the 18 and under team in the championships, the World Cups. And how did this come about for you? How long has this been in the works?
Well, it started really last summer. I got a call. Well, I actually had calls several years in advance of this, try to get involved with USA Baseball, but I never really had the time to do it, and I want to dedicate all my time to recruiting and Clemson and my team here, and camps and those kinds of things. So it actually worked out pretty good that I could go last year. I went to the Tournament of Stars. I spent a little time there, a week there. I spent a week at the National Team Development Program in Chicago in July, and then I went to the trials where they narrowed the team from 40 down to 20 to pick the USA team in Minneapolis last August, and that was fun. That was good stuff, and I really enjoyed working with those kids. They're the elite players in the country. And it's a first-class organization. USA Baseball is run first class. Everybody's held to a high standard, and which is kind of up my alley. And so I had a lot of fun with it. They asked me at the end of the summer to coach the team through the Pan Am Games this year. So I'll go back to the Tournament of Stars up in Cary at the USA Complex in June, and then right after that we'll have the trials, which so 80 kids will be brought into Cary, narrow down to 40 by the end of the week. And then we'll spend a week with those 40 to narrow it down to 20 and choose the USA Baseball team, 18 and under team at that time. And then I'll go to Chicago for the National Team Development Program, again with the best 17 and under kids in the country. And we'll play a game in Wrigley, a game at Milwaukee's field, and a game I think at the White Sox field, and have a week of training with them. Then we'll take these 20 kids back that were chosen for the USA team. We'll take them back on October 31st till about November 8th down to Fort Lauderdale to train with them to get them ready to go to the Pan Am Games in Panama City, Panama, against teams like Puerto Rico and Cuba, Mexico, Panama, Colombia, Brazil, Nicaragua, Venezuela, Canada, and ourselves. I think there'll be 10 teams involved in that. And the top 4 will qualify for the next year's 2019 World Cup. So hopefully that'll happen, and then we'll qualify for that. And then the next year we'll have similar type schedule, but the World Cup, I think, is going to be in South Korea. So that'll be an interesting trip for me and for the team, and kind of exciting opportunity.
Yeah, it sounds like it. How's it going to feel for you to be back in a dugout, to have the uniform on, to be calling signals, to be making managerial decisions once again?
Well, it's something I've been missing, so I think it'll feel really good. The times I put the uniform on last summer and had a chance to coach these kids and work with them out on the field was exciting for me, and brought back those juices that I have and the passion that I have for it, and the great relationship with these kids, the 18-year-old kids, and they're eager, they're hungry, they're very talented, but they also want to learn, and so that was exciting for me. I like to teach, I like to be on the field, and like to work with the kids, so that was good, and I'm looking forward to that. I'll do some coaching, some third base, which I've always missed, and I've got three other staff members that'll be really good in the Pan Am Games. Greg Ritchie, hitting coach, and he'll be he's from George Washington University, and he was with the Pittsburgh Pirates as their major league hitting instructor, hitting coach, and he's got some great experience in professional baseball. Scott Bankhead, who was a 10-year major leaguer and a first-round pick out of the University of North Carolina back in the mid-'90s, was another guy that's going to be handling the pitchers on our staff. I'm excited about him. We worked together this past summer. And then another guy named Joe Alvarez. And Joe is a scout and international scout, and he's been coaching in the minor leagues and with the St. Louis Cardinal organization for a long period of time. And he's bilingual, and so we're going to need him to go to Panama. And he's also an exceptional baseball coach and a great man. So I'm excited about working with these guys during the summer.
What is the difference between coaching a collegiate baseball team, whereas now you'll be coaching what in essence is an all-star team, and you're going to have a crop of players that obviously is the best of the best amongst any of those at that age group? What's different about that? I mean, are the challenges to kind of, making everybody happy in that regard?
It's the challenge is that you go and you play a different brand of baseball. You're playing against Japan and in the World Championships, South Korea, Chinese Taipei, Japan, Mexico, Canada, Australia, Italy, all those teams throughout the world, and they play a little different brand of baseball. So I guess if you're playing international basketball, it's a little bit different. But baseball is baseball, and if you can get these kids to play hard and play, within what they're capable of, and put too much pressure on themselves because you're representing the country. You got USA across the front, it's a little bit different. There's a lot of pride involved, and you're really not playing for any other medal except that gold medal. So it's kind of it's interesting that way, but at the same time, exciting challenge. But you're dealing with kids that are highly motivated and very highly skilled, and that's really what I enjoy the most. And my kids at Clemson, there are kids that would go to Clemson or LSU or South Carolina, wherever. These are the type of kids you're dealing with. They're just a year younger, but all of them have professional baseball in their mind or very high college aspirations.
Yeah, I'm talking with Jack Leggett. So will you use your knowledge of the Clemson roster, the South Carolina roster, the kids around the state? Will they have any sort of, not going to say an advantage, but your knowledge of them, will that help some of them and perhaps getting a chance to make the team?
I really don't choose the team. It's chosen basically by Matt Blood, who runs. He was a scout for 7 years with the Cardinals, and he's got a great baseball mind. And he knows everybody in the country, and he targets the best players in the country. They come from California and Washington and Michigan and Texas and Florida, all over the country. And he brings those 80 kids in, and then we try to work with them, figure out who the best 40 are, then narrow that down, and it becomes very, very competitive to find the best 20. And 9 of those are pitchers, 9, maybe a swing player who can do both. Mm-hmm. And so you're dealing with the 10 or 11 best position players in the country, and you're dealing with probably the 9 to 10 best pitching prospects in the country. So it's very competitive. There may be a kid from South Carolina, I don't know, but some of them will probably be invited to the 80 and then see where it goes from there at the Tournament of Stars.
Hey, Coach, congratulations once again. We look forward to following your team this summer. Best of luck, and go get the gold medal.
Oh, I appreciate it. We'll be talking and anytime. It's always good to talk to you, Phil. I appreciate the call.
You got it. We'll check in with you throughout the process and as you go through that season.
Sounds like a real cool opportunity, man.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. All right. Thank you very much, Jack Leggett. Back in a moment.
Sports Talk is the sports talk show of Main Street, South Carolina. From the coast to the mountains, we cover it all.
Okay, we're back. Sports Talk South Carolina Radio Network. Thanks again to Jack Leggett for being with us here tonight on Sports Talk. Always good catching up with him, and we'll keep up with him as they go through the circuit there with USA Baseball and that national team as they make the rounds. I don't know that we'll call him in South Korea or anything like that,
Yeah,
but I think that could be a problem.
I don't know if that'll look good on the Sports Talk expense report.
Hey, check out foundersfcu.com. Learn how they can assist you in all of your financial needs. Giancarlo Stanton hit another home run.
Nobody cares.
Yankees win. The Yankees win. It's always good news.
Let John Sterling be the only person in the world that does that, please.
The rest of the recruiting reports. We talked about Ryan Helinski, and that looks good for South Carolina. At least they're in the fight with him. They got to be able to close the deal, and he looks like a quality quarterback. Oh, a couple more notes on him from our conversation. So he said South Carolina's been doing a great job with him. Arizona State, he mentioned he enjoyed meeting Herm Edwards. He says Georgia has been in there. Ole Miss, he's going to put out a top 10 this Sunday, then a top 5 2 weeks later. And then after that, his commitment, he plans to announce it on the 26th of May. Clemson had a couple of big-timers in yesterday. According to Adam Friedman of Rivals, running back Quavaris Crouch of Charlotte was there after visiting Tennessee last Saturday, and he met with Dabo Swinney. Also, linebacker Vonta Bentley of Birmingham made it to Clemson. In fact, he stayed overnight, and he left today, he told us. And he spent time with Sweeney and Brent Venables, and they compare him to freshman Mike Jones in terms of his playing style. Clemson is still number 1 on his list, showing a lot of interest. He was at Auburn on Tuesday. He's been to Alabama. He's going back there on the 13th. He said he could leave Alabama. Not a problem for him to go outside the state. Florida and LSU also among his offers. Running back Cesar Malusi, Naples, Florida. Strong interest from USC and Clemson, among others, according to 24/7 Sports. Plans to visit Clemson on the 9th. Emerald tight end Luke Deal offered by Virginia Tech. Spartanburg running back Zycameron Robinson offered by Tennessee. USC target defensive back Jalen Phillips set an official to Oklahoma April 14th. Dutch Fork standout Bryce Thompson will not be a part of the 2018 USC class, according to a Gamecock Central. That's a big loss. This is a talented football player. No question about it. That is a big loss. 2020 defensive lineman Jamil Burrows of Powder Springs, Georgia, has USC Clemson on his short list, along with Alabama, Auburn, Georgia, and Tennessee.
The Thompson stuff really it's a sad thing because, again, another guy right in your backyard that you don't get. And, again, I think this is kind of a more beyond South Carolina's control situation, but at the same time, it's just not it's just not something you want to see from somebody inside your state.
Well, I think ideally for them, and I don't know the backstory at this point, if they can convince him not to sign with, say, Marshall,
Right.
which has been in on him, and get him to go.
JUCO.
I don't know if he can go prep school or JUCO, and put him, if he goes to JUCO, send him to Jones in Mississippi, put him in that accelerated program like they did with Kinlaw and others, and get him back, losing just a year of eligibility, and hope that he can get things straightened out down there. Then you get an older guy, a seasoned guy, and somebody who could then come in and help.
And they've been very loyal to him. I mean, they kept that spot. You could even argue maybe somehow that they maybe kept that spot for him a little bit too long, and maybe it jeopardized them with a couple of other guys. Now they're still going to have a chance to fill it here as the recruiting period winds down. But at the same time, you would like to think that they at least have some good faith done there.
Oh, don't ever count out the Braves. They have come back to tie it up with the Phillies 5-5,
Well,
bottom of the eighth.
It's a battle.
All right, never give up on the Bravos.
It's a battle of two people who are basically fighting at the bottom of the pig pile there.
Twins beat Minnesota. Orioles beat Minnesota. Orioles beat the Twins 3-2. Houston over Texas 4-1. Mets beat the Cards 9-4.
Yay!
Cubs beat the Marlins 8-4. Sorry about that, Derek Jeter. Can't win at everything. Brent Venables. Tigers had a practice yesterday, a scrimmage. No practice the rest of this week. They pick it back up next week, and they head towards their spring game, which is still a couple of weeks off. But Venables talked with the media. What did you think of his mood?
Well, it's weird. Everyone, we were talking about all of the great offensive prowess that was shown by the Clemson offense and the Clemson QBs, all four of them throwing touchdown passes, Kelly Bryant throwing 4 of them in that regard. Of course, that makes for a very cranky Brent Venables.
As far as where you wanted to be at this point in the spring?
No.
In what area?
Just consistency, the development and our depth. And, again, that's as much as anything, man. You got to be consistent if you're going to be good.
Is it the older guys that are making the mistakes? Is it younger? Is it a
No,
mix?
I wouldn't say that, we jumped off sides with older guys. So that's the older guy making a mistake. But, so in our first scrimmage, our first unit played really, really well. And today, nobody played, we just came out right away with no kind of energy and intensity, the way you got to play this game with an edge. And so just like the leadership and like the consistency, and just didn't play with any kind of focus. Just thought we were just kind of going through the motions.
Specific spots where you're maybe surprising guys? Any specific positions where you're disappointed in particular?
No, just today I didn't think we had the right kind of focus and intensity overall.
How much of that do you think is attributed to the 9 days off in spring break?
I don't know. They were catching them and completing them on the other side. So we just didn't do a good job leveraging the ball and playing like we need to play. All 3 units that you run out there are all your defense. It's not like, well, this is the D-line played good and they didn't. Your unit suffers. The backers didn't play good, but the DBs did. This ain't DLU. This is the Clemson defense. So whoever runs out there on that field, which is that field or the practice field or goes in that weight room, that's our unit. So, you guys got to, well, we did our thing. That's not how it works. I wish it did. When we won 2 out of 3, it doesn't work that way. So, just got to take, again, more accountability. Start, again, with leadership, coach, the players, and then just doing it. You start off the scrimmage right away and you line up off sides. DB lines up off sides. That's not playing with discipline. You're not good, let alone great, when you line up off sides. You're undisciplined. Then you jump off sides the next play. And then you stop in the middle of the play. It's a touchdown. So.
Let's just put it that way. He just wasn't. And it's weird.
I think he's only happy when he's unhappy.
If he's not complaining about something, I think he's just not breathing. But again, this is the thing. Clemson's offense right now has, I don't want to say taken the baton from the Clemson defense, but you have a second-year starting quarterback. You've got 3 other guys pushing him. You've got a lot of great competition going there. It's not like Clemson's defense is bad. It's just he has such a standard. He wants this defense, especially with all the talent that they have coming back on that side of the football. He wants them to perform to an exemplary level. They're not there right now.
To Glenn in North Charleston we go before we hit the bottom of the hour break. Glenn, how are you? Welcome into Sports Talk.
How you doing, Mr. Corn and Company?
We're good. We're good. Thank you.
And I was wondering, Danny Debo Samuel sightings yet in Carolina, and will they be airing all SEC games on the SEC channel all day? You know, like 12 o'clock on.
Yeah.
Well, they'll be doing that over the course of the next couple of weeks. They won't all be on the same day. South Carolina has the advantage of being first, and basically having the whole day to themselves on Saturday. So their spring game will be at noon, and then in the successive weeks they will have more spring games televised. But I believe everyone who's having a spring game will have it televised on the SEC network. And
Samuel has been around practice. He's not practicing, but he's been out there, and he'll be 100% ready to go in the fall. And I'm sure they're going to work in a number of different ways to get him the football. He would be one guy, I would think, who would love to be in this up-tempo offense the Gamecocks are going to debut for everybody publicly on Saturday.
The up-tempo allows them to take some more deep shots. And who is the best deep threat on the team? That guy.
Okay, we'll be right back here on Sports Talk. Okay, we're back at Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Glad to have you with us wherever you are dialed in around the state of South Carolina. Charleston Southern AD Hank Small announced today he's going to retire on April 1st, 17 years as the head of the Charleston Southern athletic departments, and they'll have a nationwide search to find their next athletics director. Newberry announced its football schedule today, opening up at Western Carolina on September 1. Then they go to Florida Tech. They'll play Virginia of Lynchburg, Carson Newman at home, those two. At Pembroke on September 29th, a home game with Lenore Rhine. 2 games on the road, Tusculum and Limestone, home to Wingate and Catawba, and close it out, regular season at Mars Hill. All right, there you go. USC baseball just getting underway. Clemson has won. So money in the bank for the Tigers today as they beat Boston College. Speaking of money, it's time to welcome into Sports Talk the money coach, Fran Halloran, who joins us here on Thursday to tie together the world of money and the world of sports. What do you got for us, Coach? Good to have you with us.
Oh, thank you, Phil. Good to be with you tonight. We've been talking the last couple of weeks about March Madness and the big picture. And what I wanted to do tonight is see if we can't focus ourselves for just a moment on the big picture money and narrow it down to how it really might impact both a community and a school. So if you'll bear with me, I'm going to repeat a few statistics that maybe I mentioned a couple of weeks ago. For instance, $6.3 billion is the estimated losses in the month of March to businesses in the United States because of March Madness. Huge number. San Antonio is going to feel an economic impact this weekend of about $135 million. 71,000 fans.
That's a lot of tequila on the Riverwalk there, Fran.
Good evening, Will, and you are right. That's a lot of tequila on the Riverwalk. $10.4 billion will be or have been wagered on the games. And what's interesting about that is $10.1 billion of it, it's estimated, has been bet illegally. $100 million profit for the Las Vegas casinos. I couldn't believe this statistic. Twice as much money is wagered during March Madness than on the Super Bowl.
That is amazing. That is truly amazing. How would it compare, do you think, worldwide to the World Cup, do you think?
Oh, I bet the World Cup is more. That's another study for another day.
Not only that,
that's a good question.
And the thing is, internationally, the betting is so much more deregulated overseas. I mean, they advertise, especially in the English Premier League, they advertise like the betting things, like they have betting windows inside the stadiums.
Right. No, it's huge outside of the United States. So right here, you're talking about twice as much being bet on March Madness as on the Super Bowl, and that just floored me. How about this? The cost of a 30-second commercial, $1.5 million for a 30-second commercial. But that's the big picture, and we've talked about that. What about when a college makes a run like Loyola? And by the way, I got Loyola and Villanova in the final.
Get out of here.
I'm picking. I'm going with Loyola.
Oh, you're doing that now. You didn't do that 3 weeks ago. You're doing that now.
Okay.
Oh, no, I'm doing it now.
Okay.
Are you kidding me? I'm saying Loyola and Villanova in the final.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. So let's talk about why colleges love, obviously, it's exposure. To that end, Butler a few years ago in 2010, when they made their biggest and deepest run, it was estimated by a marketing firm after that run that Butler received $639 million worth of advertising exposure as a result of their run deep into the tournament. But that's not even the biggest reason. Would you believe that the big reason colleges and universities love a deep run is because student applications go up?
Yep.
VCU made the Final Four in 2011, 10.7 increase in student applications. Wichita State, Final Four in 2013, 29.4% increase in applications. And let's not forget Florida Gulf Coast. Remember that in the Sweet 16, I believe, in 2013, 27.5% increase in student applications. There are kids who never heard of Florida Gulf Coast, from New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and New York, who are now students at Florida Gulf Coast because of their run in the 2013 tournament.
Well, you have seen where that campus is, right, Fran?
Yeah.
Like right on the water.
Can I give you another good example? Now, this goes back many years, but who ever heard of Pepperdine
Right.
until Pepperdine had a little run in the tournament. And then, of course, they show you campus right on the Pacific Ocean.
Right on the Pacific.
I'm sure their
beautiful.
student applications jacked up as a result of that.
No doubt about it. Hey, but let's talk about local impact. How does it affect a local city? Let's talk about Greenville just last year, right? 3 days of the tournament, 3 days, first and second round. By the way, did you know that Greenville was the only site in the first and the second round to sell out every single game?
Thank you, Gamecocks. Thank you, Tar Heels. Thank you, Blue Devils.
That's exactly right. 15,000 seats sold out of the core. But here's the real economic impact. In 3 days, $3.6 million worth of impact to the Greenville metro area. 6,000 hotel rooms sold out, not to mention all the restaurants that people had to go to eat supper every night. That's huge. And it's so huge that Greenville has already bid for the tournament from 2019 through 2022. And if that's not enough for you, my last stat of the day, what about the impact for a school? Let's talk about the University of Connecticut before 1995. The only national championships UConn had were in field hockey, women's field hockey, and soccer. 95 was when Rebecca Lobo and her classmates, her teammates, won their first national championship. They've won 11 since, the women, looking like it could be 12, and the men have won 4. Since 1995, above and beyond all the other monies that University of Connecticut gets from the state of Connecticut, the state of Connecticut, that's a tough one to say. The state of Connecticut has pumped an additional $2.3 billion into UConn as a direct result of their national championships, the 11 female and the 4 male.
And as Jim,
that is astronomical.
And as Jim Calhoun used to say, not a dime back. Not a dime back for any of that.
That's right. That's right. So, guys, when we're looking at this game, these last 2 games, Saturday and the final game on Saturday, Sunday night, right? Sunday night?
Yes. No, Monday.
Monday night.
Yes.
Monday
night prime time.
Hey, I hate 9:20 tip-off, but hey, why do they do that? It's economics. That's when they want it, prime time.
Oh, yeah.
But as we're watching those games, we really need to think about the massive economic impact that this tournament has, not only in a town like Greenville or on a school like UConn, but nationally.
All right, let me ask you this.
It's massive.
Let me ask you this real quick, our last couple of minutes. You being a resident, long-time resident of Columbia, so the circus that is the NCAA tournament on the men's side is coming to Columbia next March. It's going to be right here for a full weekend. The cameras, the officials, the TV personalities, the teams, the fans. Is Columbia set up to handle it? I mean, obviously they think so, because they would not have granted them the regional if they didn't think so. But in your opinion, based on your knowledge of the financial support and the hotels and all the available restaurants and accommodations, what do you think?
I think Columbia is going to have to hope for and count on support from other areas of the state to compete with what Greenville did last year in the first 2 rounds of next year's tournament. I think there's going to have to be an influx of people. I'm not sure if the surrounding Columbia Metro has got enough interest in itself to really make a push for, wow, we ought to have this every year the way Greenville did.
And
that's just my humble opinion.
Yeah.
I just think we're going to need a lot of help.
And keep in mind, the Gamecocks would not be eligible to play inside their own arena as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
there you go.
What you're going to need, quite obviously, for it to be successful, I think, is Clemson to make the tournament again, be placed in Columbia, get
Charleston,
another
absolutely.
ACC team, maybe College of Charleston, and fill it up that way with those teams. Hey, Coach, thank you so much.
Yes.
Outstanding stuff. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you, guys. Have a great evening.
And remember to save that money.
Nick Markakis wins the Braves game for them with a 3-run walk-off homer.
Never count the Braves out.
8-5.
It's a new era. It's a new era of Braves baseball. USC and Tennessee, bottom of the first, no score, runner on second, 2 away.
These guys, they never sleep. Check them out on the web at SportsTalkSC.com. Now, more of Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network.
All right, let's check over at the USC. The Gamecocks have a threat in the bottom of the first. Bases are loaded. 2 are out, trying to break on top against Tennessee with Chris Cullen at the plate. We'll let you know how things develop there momentarily. Furman leading Samford 6-1. Bottom of the 6th, Coastal Carolina on top of Georgia Southern 3-2 in the 4th. High Point leading Winthrop 5-1 in the 7th. Western Carolina over Wofford 1-0 in the 6th. Arkansas 2-0 on Ole Miss early. And Virginia Tech final over NC State 10-2. Georgia leading Texas A&M. Boy, they continue to roll 11-4. Upstate, Kennesaw State 2-2 in the 7th. Presbyterian beats Liberty 13-7. USC continue with its football practice today. Mike Peterson coming to us over at Williams-Brice Stadium to talk about the players he coaches, primarily your outside linebackers and your Bucks.
It looked good. You know, we had our times. I think that the learning curve of it has been shortened. The guys have learning what to do, you know, how to practice, you know, how we go about our day-to-day business. And for the most part, been satisfied.
And getting back to the tempo, you know, how crucial is it to have a guy out there in that second level of defense that can call that signal on the fly, call that audible, and get them lined up against that kind of speed?
That's big. You know, you actually want to have a guy in the secondary. You actually want to have one in the linebacker and the D-line also, you know, just a guy that can relay the call, you know, guy that can take charge out there and run the show, so to speak.
Who is that guy in your group?
Right now, Dennis Warner. He's a guy who's, you know, learning how to become a leader. You know, he's one of those guys who lead by example, you know, so every day I'm getting on him about, you know, not only doing your job, but bringing somebody along with you, you know, and you know, he's adapted to it and he's doing a great job at it.
Is he playing mostly buck now?
Yeah, he's playing. He's doing a little bit of everything. You know, okay. You know, he's on the field. You know, we're moving around a lot of guys who had a lot of production for us last year. So, you know, we're trying to feed off of that and find some of the things that he can do really, really good for us.
What does that do for you guys, being able to maybe put him at end and get 2 bucks on the field?
Well, what you're doing is you're actually getting, you know, your best 11 guys on the field. And, you know, you're kind of finding out some of the things the guys do really well and try to put them in that position.
What kind of development have you seen from Brad Johnson, kind of from the end of last season up to now?
Oh, man, it's been a big jump. You know, I'm really proud of that kid, man. You know, last year I kind of rode him. You know, I was on him a lot early on in the season. He didn't play early. I told him why. You know, he wasn't ready to play early, in my opinion. You know, he's a guy who got all the tangibles. He can run, he can hit, strong, explosive, you know, but, you know, on this level, you got to, you know, the techniques and all those little things that you tend to take for granted, you know, they show up on a game, you know. So, and he's been working hard at it. He worked hard in the off season, and it's showing up here in spring ball.
Was that a problem of him just getting a little bit lighter, watching more film, or just listening to what he was doing wrong and trying to make it better?
Yeah, just, you know, adapting to college ball, man. High school ball, you can be the strongest guy, the fastest guy, and just run around. You know, in college ball, I say in high school you can do that. In college ball, it doesn't work. You got to know what to do. And, you know, I try to tell the guys, you know, defense is like a machine. You know, you're just one part of this machine. And if your part is not working, the machine doesn't work, you know. So he had to learn, you know, what exactly to do, and he's doing it.
I guess Bryson's going to line up a little bit of everywhere for you guys. Right. How has he been this spring, and how has he shown that he's ready to be back after missing so much last year?
He's been good, man. You know, right now he's not able to practice with us, you know, so he's in all the meetings, and, you know, he's an older guy, but I pick on him like he's one of the younger guys, and I told him why. You know, you're the older guy, so I'm going to make you stand up at the board and draw things up. I'm going to call on you in the meetings just to keep you sharp and mentally, you know, in tune with what's going on, and he's been great about that.
Is it a case, Mike, of once he's cleared to play, he automatically goes back out there on the field and starts, or will you tell him, you know, you have to re-earn your spot?
Well, that's a decision that, you know, the head coach, you know, speaks on. You know, my job is to get him ready to play. You know, he decides who play and when they play, you know, and my job is to get him ready and make sure he's ready on Saturday.
Who do you say is kind of grouped into the buck spot, and who's grouped kind of into that other end spot?
Well, right now we got 2 guys that's been added, you know, to the group would be Aaron Sterling and Shameik Blackshear, 2 guys that's you know, playing really good for us. Aaron is a guy who's I like Aaron. He's an undersized guy. You look at him, you wonder how does he get it done, but he's one of, similar to myself when I play. He finds a way to get it done. That's why I like him. So he's having a great spring also. Shamik Blackshear, I would call him my project kid. He's trying to find, what do he do really, really well in this system. And he's changed his life. You hear him talk about it, you see it out on the field. I try to tell the guys, he kind of, where you live away from football usually funnels over to your production on the field. And he's taking care of everything away from ball, and he's showing up in practice and having a good spring for us.
Mike, when it comes to Shamik, what was it that made the light turn on and say you need to take advantage of your talent?
That's it, man. Just taking advantage of the opportunity. I think you gotta relate to each guy a little different. So it's just my job was to find what button to push to get that guy going. And positive, staying positive with him, but also being hard on him and letting him know what he's doing wrong and what he's doing right, and getting him to trust in me. And I think that's what's showing up right now.
So Sterling and Blackshear Bucks now.
They're ends now. Right now they're playing for ends. You can put one of them in their end. You can put one of them at Buck. Like I said, we're just trying to find the best guys to put on the field and go from there.
Who else played Buck?
Brad Johnson,
Fennell.
Danny Fennell. Danny Fennell is, he's probably been the most consistent guy this whole spring. You can put him at Sam, you can put him at the Buck position, you can put him at the end position, and he goes in and do exactly what you ask him to do. So, that having that confidence and feeling that I can put him in any position and he can go out and get the job done, that's a confident feeling.
That's right. Yeah. All right, there you go. Mike Peterson, who just reminds you, great player at Florida, had a nice long NFL career, almost 900 tackles in his career in the NFL. One thing I asked him, you didn't hear this in the conversation. I said, are you paying attention to what the NFL is doing with the new rules? And he said, no, of course, because they're focused on what their job is.
Right.
And I said, well, would you be in favor, for example, of eliminating the kickoff, which they're talking about? He said, I'm not in favor of anything changing the rules in football, the way the game is being played.
Mm.
And, he's an old defensive player, and his mindset is rock 'em, sock 'em, still knock their teeth out.
Right.
And that's the thing about this is where we're torn in football. I was watching, of course, as they were on the broadcast last night talking about the rules changes at the same time showing you some vicious hits in the NFL. Right. And I mean, we grew up loving football and loving those vicious hits and oohing and awing, not wanting to see anybody get hurt, but loving the contact. And in today's world, in today's society, and the mental approaches, people are squeamish about that. They don't want to see somebody get knocked out anymore. We used to cheer. If you were a fan, you used to cheer the other guy getting knocked out and concussed. Now, today, people don't want to see that.
Well, the thing about it is I think they're seeing the deteriorating nature of what happens to a lot of these players because we're getting, some of the second and third generations of players who are, you have the situation that happened with Dave Dorson, the unfortunate suicide, and some of the other unfortunate incidents that took place. Junior Seau is another one with guys involving CTE. And I think the more and more we get exposed to that, it becomes hard for us to digest. But I mean, I just don't know how you change the game of football because of that, because of the fact that, I had a high school coach who said, football isn't a contact sport, it's a collision sport.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how you take a collision sport and make it, air quotes, safe.
And still make it the attraction that people want it to be, to spend their money to come out and spend 7-8 hours or inside and around a stadium and participate in everything. Good start for USC against UT. The Gamecocks score 3 in the bottom of the first. Riley Hogan, 2 RBI single for him, sparks that rally. So USC goes to the second with Adam Hill on the mound up 3-0.
Why don't we go over and catch that game?
I think we will. And I am gone until Monday. You'll be in the very capable hands of Mr. Pelagic and Professor Tom Hayes.
A blessed Passover.
Thank you. Thank you. And a happy Easter to everybody out there this weekend. Brian, thank you so much for another great job. Everybody have a great night and a great weekend. And we will be back with you, Sports Talk, tomorrow night.